That evening, Amina's heart overflowed with happiness she had not experienced for years. For her two sons, Samuel and David, were at last coming home. Not for a visit, but to take her along with them to the city. For all those years, she had carried the sole burden of raising them alone since her husband Peter died. Life had been unkind to her. She woke up early before dawn to pick vegetables, carried heavy bundles on her head to sell in the market, and stooped her back on other people's farms just to pay school fees. She suffered hunger, insults, and loneliness, but never lost hope. She consoled herself time and again that one day her children would wake up. One day her sacrifices would not be in vain. And now that day had come. 3 days ago, Samuel had called her on the small village telephone. His voice was filled with excitement. "Mama, prepare yourself," he said. "We are coming this weekend to take you. We bought a big house in Laros. From now on, you will be with us." When Amina heard those words, tears flowed down her cheeks. She raised her hands to the heavens and blessed her sons repeatedly. "May God bless you, my children. May your lives never know sorrow." She told the villagers with pride that her sons were coming. Many gazed at her in awe. They had seen her struggle for years and never imagined such a day would break. That evening, as the moon rose over the village road, dry and dusty like their existence, Amina wrapped her wrapper and went to visit her elder sister Rebecca. It had been years since they last spoke. Rebecca was a notorious hard woman, always grumbling, always bitter, but for all that, she was her sister. Amina felt it was only right to tell her. When she got to the compound, Rebecca looked up in shock. "Amina, you came this time? Hope no problem." Amina smiled softly. "No problem, my sister. I came to tell you good news." Rebecca frowned. "Joy? You now have money?" she asked with sarcasm. Amina laughed. "Not money, but joy. My sons are coming tomorrow. They have purchased a house in the city. They said that I will never go hungry again. From now I will stay with them." Rebecca's eyes did not relent. She looked at Amina with coldness. "So they are taking you to the city to stay with them," she said slowly. Amina smiled gently. "Yes, my sister. That is why I came to let you know. Tomorrow, before we depart, we will pass by to say goodbye to you." Rebecca faked a smile and said, "All right, safe journey." But in her heart, envy fires burned. As Amina departed, Rebecca's mind grappled with bitterness. She thought, "So my little sister will depart and leave me behind and live in comfort while I remain behind with nothing?" That evening, Rebecca could not sleep. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her heart poisoned with envy. At midnight, she wrapped her scarf and silently crept into the night, heading to the fringes of the village. There lived Baba Salako, the feared native doctor. She knocked 3 times. A low voice said, "Who is there?" She answered in a rush, "It is Rebecca. I need help." The door creaked open slowly. The inside air reeked of herbs and smoke. Baba Salako sat cross-legged on a mat, his face smeared with white chalk. "Speak," he commanded. Rebecca spoke. "Maro, my sister's sons are coming to take her to the city. They have become wealthy now. She will never remember me again. I want them to shun her. I want them to turn against her. I want them to prefer me instead." Baba Salako sighed and took up a calabash. He sprinkled dark powder on a cloth. "This will not kill their bodies, but it will distort their hearts. Mix it with their food, and they will despise their mother." Rebecca took the powder in shaking hands. "Thank you, Baba. Make it happen." He smiled benevolently. "Remember, whatever you sow, you shall reap." But Rebecca didn't care. She left before dawn, her eyes full of evil intent. The next morning broke bright and sunny. Villagers scattered out when a shining SUV rolled onto the dusty road. Samuel and David stepped out looking dashing in neat clothes. Their mother Amina rushed out with tears of joy streaming down her face. My sons, you kept your word, she wailed, embracing them. Mama, you look so young, Samuel said warmly. We missed you, David said, smiling. They went inside her small mud house. She welcomed them in with yam porridge, their childhood favorite. They laughed and recalled hunger days, the days Amina took them to school on her back. Her heart was free for years. After supper, Amina directed, Before we go to the city, go and greet my sister Rebecca. She inquired about you. She said she missed you. But Samuel frowned. Do we have to, Mama? That woman never loved us. She did not even call when I graduated. David concurred. Mama, we are late. Let us proceed. But Amina's gentle voice implored, Please, my children. She is your auntie. I already promised her. Just go. It will not take long. Grudgingly, they consented. They proceeded to Rebecca's compound. She waited outside, smiling sweetly, though her heart was bitter. She opened her arms to them. Ah, my eyes have seen happiness today. Come in, my children. The room was filled with the scent of pepper soup and jollof rice. The table was full of steaming dishes. Samuel respectfully said, Thank you, Auntie, but Mama already fed us. Rebecca's face turned stern. So you relished your mother's food, but you will not relish mine? At least take a little. Or are you saying my food is not tasty? To avoid giving offense, the brothers sat and took up their spoons. Rebecca's eyes twinkled as she watched them take the first mouthful. The dark powder was already doing its work. 10 minutes later, Samuel let go of his spoon. His chest was heavy. David rubbed his forehead. Their hearts became hard. Rebecca leaned forward and whispered, Do you know why I invited you? Your mother has not told you the truth. She is the one who ended your father's life. The brothers froze. She continued, Do you remember how he died suddenly? Strong and healthy, then gone in one night? She buried him quickly without explanation. Before he died, he told me he suspected her. She was always visiting a native man behind the farm. He said if anything happened to him, it would be her. The powder twisted their thoughts. The lies sank deep. By the time they returned to their mother, their eyes had changed. Amina sat outside, dressed in her best wrapper, her bag ready. She smiled brightly. My sons, welcome back. Let me get my Bible, then we can go. But Samuel crossed his arms and said coldly, We have changed our minds. Amina's smile faded. What do you mean? David avoided her eyes. We think Auntie Rebecca needs us more. Amina's heart pounded. I thought we planned this. Did I do something wrong? But Samuel pulled his hand away. You are not the woman I thought you were. Tears filled Amina's eyes. My children, what are you saying? David whispered. Auntie told us the truth. You ended Father's life. Her whole body trembled. You believe that? But they turned away, leaving her standing in the dust. She also visited the cemetery that night, knelt at her husband's grave, and cried, Peter, they accused me of killing you. Your sons believe that I killed you. Your sister has gained their affections. If I am guilty, call me to be with you. But if I am innocent, defend me. Lord, defend me. Rescue me. I have nothing left. Her scream pierced the night air, but heaven was listening. 2 weeks had passed in the city, and Samuel and David had already taken Rebecca with them, leaving Amina in the village. For the first few days, Samuel was cheerful, laughing with Rebecca, calling her mother, thinking all the lies she had planted in his heart, while David wrestled in silence, his heart struggling between love for his mother and the burden in his heart. Doubt slipped in slowly. One evening, sitting with Samuel in the large living room, David spoke in a low voice. Brother, what we did to Mama was not right. She suffered for us. She trained us alone. We abandoned her in the village and brought her elder sister here. Auntie Rebecca never carried our load. She never dried our tears. It was Mama. Samuel scowled and turned away. I don't want to hear this, David. That woman has blood on her hands. She murdered father. Don't let your heart deceive you." But David pushed on urgently. "Brother, think about it. Did we ever see proof? Did we ever hear father condemn her with his own words? Or did we only believe because Auntie Rebecca said so?" Samuel growled, "Enough! I will not hear this again." He stood up and walked away, while Rebecca listened from the corridor with fire burning in her eyes. That night she stormed into her room and called Baba Salako furiously. "You promised that the powder would hold the two together. But look, David is still talking about his mother. His heart is too weak. Make something stronger." Baba Salako spoke softly. "I warned you, woman. Charms do not last. Some hearts cannot be held together for long. If you want more, you have to pay more. I can make another, but it will make brother fight against brother." Rebecca's lips curled into a wicked smile. "Yes, that is what I want. Drive them apart. Make Samuel hate David. Make him drive David away. Then I will be mistress of everything." Baba Salako consented to make the charm. Days later, Rebecca added the new powder to Samuel's food. Soon his eyes began to change. He regarded David differently, not as a brother, but as an enemy. Fights began. Small things became large arguments. One hot afternoon, Samuel came home weary and angry. He blew the horn at the gate, but no one responded. He stepped angrily out and saw David running out from the inside. "Sorry, brother, I was in the bathroom," David said, hurrying to open. But Samuel's eyes gleamed. Without warning, he slapped David hard across the face. The sound echoed through the compound. David stumbled backward, stunned. "You slapped me?" he whispered. "Your elder brother? You raised your hand against me?" Samuel bellowed, "You are useless. You live in my house. You eat my food. You work under me like a servant. Your friends are building their own lives, but you still rely on me like a boy." David's heart seethed, but the betrayal hurt more than the slap. "You are no longer my brother," he said gently. "You are Rebecca's puppet. She poisoned your heart." Samuel sneered. "At least someone opened my eyes. You and your witch mother pulled me down for years. Now I am free." David's chest constricted. "Do not call our mother a witch," he said with shaking voice. "She is the reason we stand here today." But Samuel laughed cynically. "Take your belongings and leave this house. From today, you are no longer the manager in my company. You will vacate the premises and look for your own life." David stood motionless for a long time. Then he nodded slowly. "If that is what you desire, so be it. But remember, truth never hides forever." He packed his little bag and left. Rebecca stood in the hallway, smiling triumphantly as her scheme worked. David walked through the busy city streets with tears scalding his eyes, remembering all the nights he and Samuel prayed together, all the hard work they put in to build the company side by side. And now it was lost because of the envy of one woman. He returned to the village, his heart heavy. When he reached there, Amina was sitting outside her little house. She looked up and saw him, and her heart skipped a beat. "David, my son, is this a dream?" she wailed. He dropped his bag and fell into her arms. "Mama, forgive me. I am sorry. I left you. I believed lies. I allowed Rebecca to steal our hearts, but I had to go away from there. Samuel hit me. He accused you of witchcraft. I had to go back home." Amina held on to him, tears streaming down her face. "My son, you have returned. That is all I prayed to God to do. Let the truth speak for itself. God will vindicate us." That night, mother and son sat under the moon, talking late into the night, comforted by the presence of the other. The next morning, David went to the land his father had left him before he died. "I can't just sit around," he told Amina. "I will plow this land. At least I will be useful." He lifted his hoe and started work. The sun was rising. Sweat dripped at the nape of his head, but he kept on working. Then suddenly, His hoe struck something hard. He went down on his knees and started to scrape the earth off. His fingers touched a shiny pebble. His heart skipped a beat. He dug some more. A piece came out, then another. His eyes opened wide. It was gold, real gold, buried in their land all those years. David knelt down, tears streaming. God, this is your answer. They called us cursed. They mocked us, but you buried treasure in our own land. He held a piece in his hand and turned to Amina. Look, Mama, he shouted, trembling. She took it, her hands trembling. Gold? My son, are you sure? David nodded. Yes, Mama, I saw more. Our lives are changing. Amina wept loudly, lifting her voice to the heavens. Jehovah, you are faithful. You fight for the righteous. From that day, their fortunes changed for the better. David sold some of the gold secretly to faithful merchants. With the money, he bought a beautiful house in the city, fixed it up for his mother, and comforted her. Mama, your troubles are over. You will live with me now. In Samuel's house, however, all was falling apart. His girlfriend Sophia confronted him one evening. Samuel, what you did to your brother was wrong. You chased him out with nothing. You insulted your mother and called Rebekah your mother. Is that the way a real son behaves? But Samuel, under spells, shouted at her. Shut up, gold digger! Undefined. You want only my money. Sophia's heart broke. Downcase, she shook her head. Downcase, you are no longer the man I loved. Downcase. You deserted your true mother and replaced her with a stranger. Downcase, you are a fool. She walked away from him, closing the door downstairs. Rebekah, who had been listening, came smiling downstairs. Well done, my son. Downcase. That woman was never good for you. Downcase. Now we only need each other. Samuel nodded coldly, while in his heart a chasm started to open. Downcase. That night, he dreamed of his father standing by a well, pointing at Amina crying in chains, while Rebekah sat on a throne of gold laughing. Downcase, he woke up in horror, covered in sweat. Downcase, for the first time, doubt seeped into his heart. Downcase. He wondered, what if the dream were true? Samuel woke up restless from the dream of his father by the well, pointing at his mother Amina, who was crying in chains, while Rebekah sat on a throne laughing. And though Rebekah told him it was only stress, and that dreams meant nothing, Samuel could not find peace, because the image stayed with him, and he began to feel as though his heart was no longer fully his own. Meanwhile, Rebekah was not satisfied with what she had already achieved. She had made Samuel chase away his brother David and abandon his real mother Amina. But her greed demanded more. She wanted Samuel's company, his house, his wealth, everything for herself and her son Michael. So she began to whisper new ideas into Samuel's ears, telling him that David had been lazy, that he had only depended on Samuel, and that it was time to replace him with someone trustworthy, like Michael. At first, Samuel hesitated, but Rebekah pressed day after day until finally Samuel agreed, and Michael was brought from the village into the company and given a position of authority. But Michael was not content with small things. He began to change numbers in reports, adding fake expenses and moving money quietly into secret accounts. And every evening he reported back to his mother Rebekah, who clapped her hands in joy, saying, "Good, my son, keep taking little by little until everything belongs to us." Samuel did not see it. His eyes, blinded by the charm, trusted Michael completely, while Rebekah continued to fuel his anger against David, telling him, "Your brother was jealous of you. Your brother wanted to destroy you." And Samuel believed more and more that David was his enemy. Meanwhile, back in the village, David's life was transforming because the gold he had found was real. He sold part of it quietly, bought a beautiful house in the city, and returned for his mother Amina, saying, "Mama, your days of suffering are over. Come with me." and she wept tears of relief, blessing him and saying, "My son, you have remembered me. God has lifted you at last." They moved into the new house, and for the first time in many years, Amina slept on a soft bed in peace, and thanked God every night for fighting her battles. And beside them stood Blessing, the kind young woman who had once helped Amina when the villagers rejected her. And now she became like a daughter to Amina. And soon David asked her to be his wife, telling her, "You stood by my mother when no one else did, and that alone tells me all I need to know." And Blessing, with tears in her eyes, said, "Yes," and they had a small but joyful wedding. Samuel did not know this, because his life in the city was slowly breaking apart. Contracts were failing. Money was disappearing without explanation. His girlfriend Sophia had left him, and his nights were haunted by dreams of his father and of Amina crying. Until one day he woke in fear, calling out, "Mama! Mama! Where are you?" And at that moment Rebecca was standing at his door with a plate of food, whispering gently, "I am here, my son. Eat and forget your worries." But inside Samuel's chest something stirred, a voice telling him, "This is not your mother. Your true mother is far away." His confusion grew stronger and stronger. Rebecca saw it and panicked. She returned secretly to the native doctor, but Baba Salako had changed his life and refused to help her, telling her, "I have given my life to God. I will no longer make charms for evil." Rebecca's anger exploded. She cursed him and left, swearing she would find another who was stronger. She heard of a new native doctor, more dangerous, more ruthless, and went to him carrying money and gifts, begging him to make a charm that would finish Samuel completely, so that she and Michael could own everything. The man gave her a small black pot and warned her, "If Samuel's eyes are the first to see you in the morning, the charm will bind him forever. But if anyone else sees you first, it will turn against you." Rebecca laughed and said, "Do not worry, I know his routine. He wakes at 5:30. I will be there before then. Tomorrow his life will be mine." That night she waited outside Samuel's door, clutching the pot, whispering to herself, "Everything will belong to me." But heaven was listening, because at that very hour, far away in the new city house, Amina was on her knees praying, "God, protect my son Samuel. He is blind, but he is still my child. Open his eyes, deliver him from evil, and let truth prevail." And in Samuel's house, just before dawn when he would normally rise early for work, he heard a soft whisper telling him, "Rest more today. You are the boss. Sleep until 6. And Samuel turned in his bed and closed his eyes again. At that moment, footsteps came down the corridor. It was Michael, yawning and stretching. He had forgotten to iron his shirt the night before. And as he came upon Rebecca standing outside the door, he saw the pot in her hands and asked with sleepy eyes, "Mama, what is that?" Before Rebecca could answer, the pot began to shake violently. Smoke burst forth, and a terrible cry filled the air. Samuel opened his door to find Rebecca and Michael screaming in confusion, holding their heads as dark smoke filled the corridor. He shouted, "What is going on? What are you doing here?" And Rebecca fell to her knees, confessing everything through tears. She cried, "Forgive me, Samuel. It was all me. I turned you against your mother. I lied to you. I used charms. I wanted your house, your company, everything." And Michael wept, saying, "I only obeyed my mother. I never knew it would end like this." Samuel's eyes widened as the truth struck him like lightning. His knees weakened, and with trembling voice he said, "Get out, both of you. Leave my house." And Rebecca and Michael screamed louder, clutching their heads, until they ran outside into the street, wild and confused, where a speeding car struck them down, and silence fell. Samuel stood frozen in shock, his chest heavy, his eyes filled with tears. He cried out, "Oh God, what have I done? What did I allow to happen to my family? Then he remembered his mother left alone in the village. He fell to his knees, sobbing, "Mama, I am sorry. David, forgive me. I was blind. Lord, give me one more chance to make things right." And with that, he rose quickly and prepared to travel back to the village to seek his mother and brother once more. Samuel traveled through the long road back to the village, his heart pounding with every mile. His thoughts were heavy with shame, his eyes blurred with tears, and his soul trembled with regret. He remembered the night his mother knelt by their father's grave, crying for God to vindicate her. He remembered the first time he called Rebekah Mother. He remembered the moment he raised his hand against David and drove him out. Each memory cut him like a blade. The once proud and confident man was now broken, whispering again and again, "Mama, forgive me. David, forgive me. I was blind." By the time he reached the village, the sun was setting in golden fire across the sky. He stepped down from his car, his clothes dusty, his face weary. The children of the village pointed and shouted, "Samuel has come! Samuel has returned!" Some villagers shook their heads, remembering how he abandoned his mother and carried Rebekah instead. They whispered, "Let us see if he will even find her, because she no longer lives in the old mud house." Samuel was confused. He asked an old man at the roadside, "Where is my mother, Amina?" The man looked at him coldly and said, "Your mother no longer lives here. She is with David in the city. They found wealth. They built a new life, while you walked with envy and lies. If you want her, go to the big new house near the river road." Samuel's eyes widened with shock. David? Wealth? A house? He thanked the man quickly and drove straight to the river road, where a tall, white-painted house stood with shining windows and a garden full of flowers. At the gate stood David, tall and strong, dressed in simple clothes, looking more at peace than Samuel had ever seen him. For a long moment, neither spoke. Samuel stepped forward slowly, his lips trembling. "My brother," he whispered. David's eyes narrowed, pain flashing in them as he remembered the slap, the insult, the betrayal. But he also saw the brokenness on Samuel's face, the tears rolling freely down his cheeks. Samuel fell to his knees in the dust. "David, forgive me. I wronged you. I allowed Rebekah to poison my heart. I believed lies. I called our mother a witch. I struck you. I abandoned you. I abandoned her. If you never forgive me, I will understand. But I beg you, let me see Mama one last time." David's chest heaved as emotions fought within him. He wanted to remember the pain, but he also remembered their childhood, the nights they slept hungry together, the times Samuel carried him on his back through the rain, the laughter they once shared. Slowly, his heart softened. He reached out his hand and lifted Samuel from the ground. "Brother," he said quietly, "you were blind. But blindness is not forever. Stand up and come inside. Mama has been waiting for this day." Samuel sobbed loudly, gripping David's hand like a lifeline. Together they walked into the compound. In the sitting room, Amina sat on a chair with Blessing beside her. When she saw Samuel, her whole body froze. For a moment she could not breathe. Then her hands shook as she whispered, "Samuel, my son." Samuel fell at her feet, weeping uncontrollably. "Mama, I wronged you. I cursed you. I believed you killed father. I left you in the dust while I lifted Rebekah. I betrayed the one who gave me life. If I could give my own life today to undo it, I would. Forgive me, Mama." Amina's eyes overflowed. She placed her trembling hands on his head. "My son, I forgave you long before this day. I prayed for you every night. I told God, He is blind, but one day you will open His eyes. And today you are here. Stand up, Samuel. You are still my son." Samuel clung to her legs, crying like a child. The room was filled with the sound of weeping, but it was a weeping that healed rather than destroyed. David placed his hand on his brother's shoulder. We are together again. No more division. No more lies. That evening they all sat together at one table, eating, laughing, and telling stories. Samuel could not stop looking at his mother, as though he feared she would vanish. Amina held both sons' hands and said, "Let this day be the day of new beginnings. We have suffered enough. Let us live now in peace." Soon after, David showed Samuel the land where he had discovered gold. Samuel stared in awe, unable to believe it. "All this time," he whispered, "while we chased shadows, God hid treasure in our own soil." David nodded. "Yes, brother, the blessing was never in Rebekah's lies. It was in our own family, in our own mother, in our own home. We just did not see it." From that day, Samuel stayed close to his mother and brother. He returned to his company and discovered the fraud Michal had committed. Contracts had collapsed, money had been stolen, but Samuel no longer cared as much for riches. He cared only to rebuild trust with his family. David, now wealthy from the gold, insisted on helping to repair the company. Together they worked side by side again, not as rivals, but as brothers. Rebekah and Michal's names were never spoken again. The villagers looked at Amina with new respect. They said, "Truly patience has reward. She suffered, but in the end her children returned to her. She was vindicated." And when the festivals came, Samuel and David stood proudly by her side, their wives and children surrounding her, while Amina smiled with peace in her heart. She raised her hands to the sky and said, "Lord, you have done it. You have turned shame into honor. You have turned sorrow into joy. My life is complete." If you enjoyed this African folktale and learned something new from it, don't forget to give this video a like, share it with your friends, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. And for more inspiring folktales like this one, make sure to subscribe to the channel and stay connected for the next story.